This is part two of how to set up a web filter for the whole house. In the previous version, in part one, we learned that we could do a CMD command and bring up this black screen, and that we could type ipconfig and it would tell us the IP address of our computer and then the IP address of our router, also known as the default gateway. This default gateway is the gateway that gets us onto the internet. So if you take that address, the 192.168.0.1 in my case, and we punch it into the address bar of this computer, 192.168.0.1, in any browser, it really doesn't matter. Although some routers do like different web browsers. So for instance, I've learned that Internet Explorer is a good way to get into a router because it doesn't have problems that it might have with Chrome. Then right here, admin is our username and our password. I have that for mine, and I'll punch it in, and it lets us into the router. Now, if you can't get into your router, the first thing you might want to try is just restarting it. Unplug it for 10 seconds and plug it back in. Mine wouldn't let me in, for instance, on this demo until I did that. Next, we're going to go right here to manually set up this router. And you'll notice that mine is a dynamic type of connection. That means that it automatically is going to find the IP address it needs to the outside world so that I can get on the internet. Other routers may need an assigned IP. Comcast routers are going to be dynamic. Qwest routers are going to have a username and password put in there. And even other types are going to need a static IP. So look closely at what yours is set at and leave that alone. This is what we're interested in down here, the primary DNS and secondary DNS. We're going to change those numbers. And here's what we're going to do. We are going to go and set up an account with OpenDNS. And OpenDNS will, for free, let you have an account with them, and they will then give you the DNS numbers that you need to put into your router. And by doing that, your router will route everything through OpenDNS to get onto the internet. And OpenDNS has a filtering system, and so they have blocked a lot of the, or most of the bad websites. And so by changing our DNS in our router, we are then putting all of our internet traffic through the OpenDNS computer system or routing system, and that's how we can apply a filter for everything that comes to our router and then into our home. DNS stands for Domain Name Server, and domain name servers, it's their job to get you to different places on the internet. If you type yahoo.com, a DNS server decides that yahoo.com is found at 67.83.22.1 or whatever the number is. And so by controlling where our DNS is, instead of having it here at Comcast in my situation or in Qwest in other situations, we're going to tell it that this DNS now needs to go through our account we've opened with OpenDNS, which will keep us from getting onto bad websites because they have a filter system that just blocks those. That's how it's done.